Telebugs is error tracking software. It collects, organizes, and notifies you about errors occurring in your applications. It's fully compatible with Sentry SDKs, which means you can track errors in pretty much any mainstream software. In this video, I'll demonstrate how to set up Telebugs and get it running. When you purchase Telebugs, you'll receive an email with installation instructions. Let's get started. To install Telebugs, you need to own a domain name. Telebugs can run either on a top-level domain or on a subdomain. It doesn't really matter. Next, you need to have a machine connected to the internet. It can be your home server, a Raspberry Pi, or a VPS. I personally recommend a VPS such as DigitalOcean or Hetzner. All it cares about is that Docker can be installed on that machine. Next, you need some basic tech skills. All it means is that you need to be familiar with SSH and how to type commands. The command that you need to type is provided in this email, and that's the only command that you need to type to be able to get it up and running. Let's follow the installation steps. I will install Telebugs on a DigitalOcean VPS. So the first step is to choose a server. Let's create a new project. Let's name it Telebugs. Let's spin up a new droplet. So the region that I recommend is the one that is closest to you. I'm from Eastern Europe, so Frankfurt would be naturally the closest. Next, you need to choose an image, the Linux distribution that Telebugs will run on. Either of these are fine. Telebugs can run on any of them, but I prefer Ubuntu since it's the default choice. This step is important, choosing the droplet size. It really depends on how much load you predict. If you have a lot of projects that send a lot of errors, like millions a day, then you need something really powerful. I recommend starting with 4 Intel CPUs. This should be enough to process that load, but for the majority of people, if you're a solo developer or a small company with a few projects that receives only a few thousand errors a day, the cheapest option will be fine. Actually, the $4 option is not enough, so you need to make sure that your server has at least 1 gigabyte of RAM. If you want to be extra safe, the 2 gigabytes of RAM is the best choice. But if you want to save money, then 1 gigabyte is enough. I'll go with 1 gigabyte just for the demonstration purposes. And next, let's set up a password for the VPS, the root password. Okay, now our droplet is now being created. So now our VPS is up and running. I can see its IP address. Let's copy it and read the next bullet point. Point your domain. Update your DNS to link your domain to your server's IP address. So now that we have the IP address, we will hop over to the Cloudflare dashboard and set up an A record. I will call this Telebugs. In my case, Telebugs will be running on a subdomain. And let's specify the IP address of that server. If you use Cloudflare, you need to make sure that proxy is off. This is so that Telebugs can provision you with your server with an SSL certificate, and the TTL can be the default value. Let's save this record. Okay, now we will connect to our server. I will use the DigitalOcean console. You can use SSH if you prefer, but for the demonstration purposes, it's quicker to use the console, the web console. And now the last step is to run this command, which includes your private key. This is the key that you shouldn't share with anybody because it's tied to you, to your purchase. Let's paste in this command and run it. The command will install the Telebugs CLI command, and it will ask you what domain you want to run your Telebugs on. Since we specified telebugs.Trello.org as shown in the Cloudflare dashboard, that's what we need to use here. So now the Telebugs CLI will test the network test passed, and it will prepare and download Telebugs and get it up and running. So while you wait, why not enjoy a cup of tea? And that's in fact what I'm actually going to do. One more thing that you should know is that Telebugs updates automatically at 1 AM server time. You can configure that or turn it off completely. If you want to install Telebugs on another domain, you'll have to purchase it again because your license, this key, it's tied to your domain name. And if you want to read the source code of Telebugs, you can download it with help of this link. Okay, awesome, Telebugs is ready. So now we can visit this URL and see that our Telebugs instance is up and running. Awesome. Now we want to create our first user, and this user will be an admin. Let's upload our profile picture. This is Grace Hopper. If you didn't know, Grace Hopper is the person who invented the term bug. She was the first person to discover a bug, and it was a real bug, like an alive bug. Let's create her profile. Yeah. Let's create our first project. I will call my project blog. The reporting time zone will be as is, and the platform for it will be Ruby on Rails because that's what I'm familiar with. You can choose any of these platforms. Telebugs supports them all thanks to Sentry SDKs. Each project has a unique DSN. A DSN is a string that you configure in your application that specifies the project key or token and the address of the Telebugs server. This is the endpoint with the ID of the project. You want to copy this value and configure it in your application. This is a blog application that lets me write blog posts. It currently has a bug. When I try to write a new post and I press create post, it errors out with error 500. Currently I have no idea what's wrong, so Telebugs should help me understand why I received this error 500. We must configure this DSN in the Rails application that is running here. To do so, we need to consult the Sentry SDK documentation for Ruby on Rails in this case. All I need to do is to depend on Sentry as it's shown here and create this initializer file with the following content. The interesting part here is the DSN, which will be replaced with my DSN provided by Telebugs. Let's add the Sentry dependency here. And let's add the initializer file. Config initializer sentry.rb. That's the path. Let's replace the DSN with the Telebugs DSN. And now we're good to deploy this. Now next time when I create a new post, the error will be thrown and the Telebugs will receive the error report about the details of what happened. Okay, so now our application is successfully deployed and I'm going to try to create a new post again. And as we expected, we see the error 500. But now when we refresh the Telebugs page, we'll see a new error report. So as you can see, the error is no method error, undefined method save, for an instance of post. Let's explore the error report and we see the details. So it looks like we forgot to type the save method correctly. Instead of double S, it should be single S. And you can see other details attached to the report. Next, you probably want to invite your team. You can do that in the when you click on your profile picture and on team management. You can copy this link and share with your teammates, and when they click on it, they will be able to join Telebugs. You probably also want to set up notifications. Telebugs currently supports email and push notifications. I personally recommend to start with push notifications, and it's really easy to get started. So this is how you can set up Telebugs within 10 minutes. Just always remember that this is a self-hosted instance and it's your responsibility to keep it up and running. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to support or consult the Telebugs manual. See you later.